Salut à tous et bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode de l'Accounting Business Club, un épisode 100% en anglais et que vous pouvez retrouver du coup en vidéo sur ma chaîne YouTube avec tous les sous-titres pour tout comprendre. Et combien c'est important de tout comprendre car mon invité du jour, Scotty Scarano, lui-même hôte du podcast Accounting High, que vous pouvez également retrouver sur toutes les plateformes, on a pu échanger de plein de choses totalement structurantes, super intéressant de comprendre comment aux États-Unis ils ont les mêmes sujets que nous et comment eux les traitent, car généralement, on l'a vu dans l'épisode que j'ai pu faire en début d'année avec Stéphane Reynaud, on voit que là-bas les tendances se font généralement 3 à 5 ans avant de ce qui arrive en France et l'objectif cette année avec ces épisodes une fois par mois en anglais que vous retrouverez donc sur ma chaîne YouTube sous-titrée, eh bien c'est de vous apporter ces tendances du monde entier. Dans cet épisode du coup, vous retrouverez le sujet de Scotty, qui il est, qu'est-ce qu'il fait avec son cabinet, très à l'américaine, vous verrez qu'on parle directement des chiffres, quels sont leurs plus grands défis là-bas, quelle est la place de l'IA, comment embarquer les équipes, quel est l'état d'esprit, quelles sont les offres, quel est le pricing. On a vraiment fait un grand tour pendant 1 heure ensemble et ça finit même avec sa conférence, avec plutôt son spectacle, avec son rap qu'il a fait lors de la Xerocon pour avoir aussi une idée un peu de l'état d'esprit là-bas des experts comptables avec les éditeurs, puisque c'est aussi un des grands sujets qu'on a abordé. J'espère en tout cas que ce premier épisode en anglais vous plaira. Je vous remercie d'avance pour votre indulgence quant à mon niveau d'anglais. J'espère travailler ce sujet en tout cas toute l'année. Mais je vous souhaite une très bonne écoute et je vous dis à très vite pour un nouvel épisode. Oh yes, it's okay. We have 1 hour together and I will put rec on the road station. To give you a bit of explanation about the podcast, because I didn't explain you what I did. It's a conversation during 1 hour. Really, you know what? Accounting High is the same in France.
This is Accounting High in France.
Exactly.
Perfect. All right. I'm going abroad.
This is the French version of Accounting High.
Perfect. It's just like how the Office has all the different versions, right? You've got the Office in the UK, the Office in the US. We've got Accounting High in the US, Accounting High in France.
And now you are the principal of Accounting Business Club.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, those are some shoes I got to fill now, man. I'm used to just being the custodian. I just have a bucket and a mop. Now I got to be the principal?
Yeah, now you are my guest, and I'm really happy to having you on the podcast today.
I'm happy to be here. Really happy to be here.
What I really want to discuss with you today and to bring to my audience in France is, first of all, I really want to understand what is the job of CPA in the US, maybe to understand what are the difference between us. And after I want to discuss with you about mindset, how you drive your business, and with your podcast, you have a lot of interviews. So what is the right mindset, if the right mindset exists? Yes, but what is for you the right mindset to be happy in the industry? And this is for me something really important. And maybe we will discuss about AI and different software. And let's just discuss. Good for you?
Let's go.
Welcome, Scotty.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Alexis.
Maybe we can start by a little presentation of you, if you want it.
Okay. How do we start a presentation of me?
Who are you, Scotty?
Who am I? Oof. So I am Scotty OKR Scarano now. I've always been Scott Scarano. I've got this like podcast alter ego that this whole Scotty OKR. OKR is also my rap name. That's the persona that I put on when I do my podcast at Accounting High and all of that. I also am Scott Scarano. I own, account, and run and operate an accounting practice. So I've been balancing these two personas, and they're sort of you've hit me at like the perfect time because they're sort of like melded together now. I think I can effectively say that like this alter ego, I can jump between the two, and there's no conflict. Let's just say it's not like Eminem and Slim Shady where he's got the conflict between the two. I'm not out to kill my alter ego. It's just part of me, right? I've been an accountant for many, many years. My grandfather was a CPA in New York.
Okay.
And my dad worked for him when I was really young. So technically I'm the son of a CPA as well. That was the original name of the first podcast before it was Accounting High.
Okay.
Sons of CPAs. And but growing up when I was young, I thought I wanted to be an accountant. That's what I wanted to do when I was growing up. But I also had this other side of me that wanted to be like an actor, an entertainer, a rapper, and all those other things too. I don't think that was realistic. And I ended up going into accounting because that was a more realistic pursuit to go professional in, to be a pro. And that was the path that I was on. And that's the path that I'm still on. I worked at several CPA firms here in the States until I got a job at a small practice that worked with small businesses. We were doing traditional bookkeeping, accounting for small businesses and tax work. Mostly it was a tax and bookkeeping shop that I started working at. And then 5 years after I started there, I bought it and took it over. And that's currently my practice today. My practice sits here in North Carolina. I'm the owner, but I don't currently do any client work anymore. Just sort of running the practice. I have 5 employees in the United States and I have 5 in the Philippines. And we do roughly in US dollars, 1.3, 1.5 million. And it's a pretty comfortable practice. And it has allowed me our connection is through the podcast that I do. So my podcast is Accounting High. I'm the custodian at Accounting High. And that's sort of been what my outlet has been. And it's my aim to bring more awareness to accounting as a profession globally now, I guess, since we've got global listeners. But bring more awareness to it, but also start filling in the gaps. What I wanted to do when I first started doing it was fill in the gaps that I had in my knowledge and understand that not all accountants are the same. Not all accountants are boring. And there was a lot of things that I was learning early on that I didn't see anywhere else out there. So I wanted to fill in the education gaps that were out there. Nobody was really teaching you how to be a business owner as an accountant. You know, there was business accounting firm owners own businesses, but we're technicians. And so I didn't really I was learning how to run a business, and I was asking people out in the global accounting community, these questions. And that's sort of how that started, was just me pulling the threads and pulling strings of curiosity in the accounting world.
And what's changed for you? What are the changes for you between the launch of the podcast, or what is the impact for you to running the podcast for your business?
For my business?
Yeah.
In the beginning, there were so many unrealized things, or things that were accidental benefits to it. I was just, the conversations that I was having and the things that I was learning, I was able to take to my firm with more confidence and with more validation from somebody else. So it wasn't just an idea that I had in my own mind. I actually was able to talk to somebody about something they were doing and bring that back to my team and say, look, this person's doing this. And so it was easier to implement some changes, but it was also easier for me to validate the things that we were already doing. And the things that maybe we were doing that worked, I found other people that were doing the same thing out in the world. And we had no validation beyond that. I just thought it was some crazy, odd thing that we did. And then we had other people doing it. So it was more of a validation. It also allowed me to meet people now across the globe, everywhere. I've met people in accounting. And so it's opened up a lot of doors that I didn't realize could be open just through putting yourself out there and creating content. I was doing it for selfish reasons at first too, because I wanted to do something that was entertaining for people, because that was my full aspiration when I was young, was I wanted to be an entertainer. And I thought this was a way for me to create a medium that I could do different things. which eventually led to me doing things like rapping, creating music videos, and then also we do a tournament in the States here too. Actually, it's anywhere, but we do all kinds of fun stuff within at Accounting High that's sort of model off of other things out in the world. So my rap videos are fun, but I bridge and bring in the accounting, like my raps are about accounting.
Yeah.
So
and what is the reaction about the industry on your podcast or on your video? You know, because I feel like we have the same industry, and we have to wear suits, even if it's suits.
Yeah.
Even if it's not as real as it was before, but your rap, your way of entertaining and giving some great information during your podcast, but with a hoodie and easily, how would the market react to it?
At first, I'm not sure how the market reacted to it. Like, I think people were somewhat confused by it at first because it was a little much, the stuff that I was doing, and it was so different than everything else that was out there. But my friends got it, and the people that I knew got it, and I think the more time people took to actually see what was under the hood, that's when they really understood, okay, this is the same thing as somebody wearing a suit. I was just being different. I was just doing it differently and doing it a little outwardly differently because I didn't want to be the same. I think that's always been my central motivation, is to be different in everything I did at the firm too. So growing my practice, I tried things that were different, and we looked different. We didn't look like an accountant. So even in the United States, where most accountants are wearing suits and dressing up, at our firm, way before the podcast, we didn't look like a typical accountant. We had all kinds of memorabilia, comic book stuff. You see my office behind me. That's sort of how our office looked in real life too. We don't have an office anymore. We went fully virtual since COVID, but I think those were the kind of things I learned then, that people actually gravitate towards something that's different. And the same with accountants too. Eventually I started to strike a chord with a lot of younger accountants. So I think that's like the people that were sort of my age and younger, maybe the millennial generation and the generation after, they really connect to it. Those are the people that come up to me at conferences, and people that, like, it's the sons of CPAs. It's the kids, or the sons and daughters of CPAs, right? Yeah. It's the next generation of people that want to get into accounting and that know this can be something that provides, it provides for my whole family. I do very well as an accountant. I make a lot of money. Yeah. But I also have fun doing it. It's not as boring as people may think.
Exactly. And I told you right before I click on rec, you really inspired me on launching my podcast, because I feel like, okay, you are in industry who everyone think it's boring, but it could be not, because you can have a really great impact, a big impact on your client and on your team. And this is, you gave me the idea about the podcast and all the way you can speak with all the people. So really, I really want to thank you for that. I just want to go back on the industry, on the CPA job. What are the biggest challenge for you in your job today?
Biggest challenges. So as a CP, so one question that you mentioned earlier that I wanted to also talk about too, what it means as a CPA in the United States.
Yeah.
Too. Because CPA versus what's the credential in France? CA or?
It's like expert-comptable. You have just one.
One? What's the credential? What's it called?
You don't have credential. It's like you have it's like a PhD, kind of PhD, okay, and you just have one.
And what's it called?
Expert-comptable.
Oh, okay. That you said it already. All right. So similar to that, I guess, in the United States, CPA it's very versatile. It's very marketable. Whereas you could be a CPA and you can do many different things as a CPA. So I just had an interview yesterday with someone who had 14 different jobs as a CPA in his professional, in 30 years as a CPA, 14 different things. You could work in manufacturing, you could work in private, you can be in public accounting, and I think I focus mostly on the public accounting sector. But a CPA can do a lot of different things, probably the same in France. The job is probably similar, where you working in industry, or you're working for small businesses, or you're doing taxes, or you're doing audit, so like CFO.
You can create you can create what you want with the card.
Right.
You can do the job the job you want.
The job that you want, and it creates that portability to where you have a lot of options. I never became a CPA. I'm just an I'm an EA, technically. Okay. I'm not a CPA, but I always surrounded myself with CPAs, and I was always in those pools of people. But my focus was on public accounting.
Okay.
I started at a few public accounting CPA firms doing taxes and doing audit. And then, like I said, the firm that I worked at, we worked with small businesses. So just to kind of get a clear lay of the land as the differences here. And that's what I did. That's what I focus on, is we work with small businesses. We do taxes, we do accounting, write-up, bookkeeping, however, CAS, whatever you want to call it. That's what we do for our clients. And then now back to your question. What was the question now? What are some of the...
What are your biggest challenge for the 5 next years?
Yeah, I think hiring is a big challenge for us.
Yeah,
hiring CPAs in the United States that can be client facing, that actually want to work with clients. That's been a challenge. I think that's always been a challenge, because you have a lot of CPAs that would prefer to just do the work and maybe not interface with clients or not have that direct interaction. But that's a necessity today. Now that we have people in the Philippines doing a lot of the back office work, and we're soon to have AI automating a lot of that, which we can also talk about. It's extremely important that the people that we hire can interface and work with clients, that can be client facing, that can answer their questions, that can talk to them. That's always been a challenge in accounting, but more so now than ever because of the perceived pipeline problem, the problem that we have with people going into this. It used to be easier to find somebody young, willing to work and learn and, take them on. But now it's like, even when we do look for resumes, we just don't have as many qualified applicants as we used to. So being able to attract talent is going to be, and still is, a big challenge.
Even for you, even with your podcast, even all your content you create for the industry.
Probably not as much for me. I haven't, we at our firm haven't tried, but I think because of the content that I create, I think if I put some feelers out there and put the word out that I needed to hire somebody, I probably would have good success.
Okay.
So I think I accidentally stumbled upon some cheat codes or some ways to get around this, because like I've spoken to other content creators, and they typically don't have a lot of trouble hiring. Like you would if you were just, if you were just scrolling on the socials and you weren't actually posting.
But that's why it's important to market or to communicate.
Yeah. It's important to put yourself out there too, because then people get to know you as a person, and they're like, I wouldn't mind working for him.
And so it's funny because we have the same issue in France, and we have the same challenge. It's really hard to it's really hard to recruit. And today I had live on LinkedIn with 4 CPA, 4 expert-comptable, and ask them what are your big challenge for 2025, and they all say me, okay, recruiting.
Really,
it's so hard to recruit the right talent, the right people, and it's funny, we have the same issue.
Yeah, the world is flat. The world is small, and I think that we're so much more connected than we realize, especially once you get past language barriers. By the way, your English is great. I'm sorry that I can't throw in a little French here, but
no. I'm working on it. But what will change? What AI will change about this recruiting problem for you?
It's a good question. because I think AI is going to eventually play a part in the problem, or may play a part in the solution. Actually, I don't think it's a part. I always look things as part of the solution, not part of the problem. So, like I said, we have outsourced a lot of our work to the Philippines. And so a lot of our bottom level work that we would typically have to hire people in the States to eventually learn the grunt work has been offsourced now.
Okay.
Also, a lot of that work is going to be offsourced by AI. A lot of the lower level work, that whether it's already being automated by other automations that we have at the firm, I think more and more of it can be offloaded to AI, generative AI, and it's going to be doing a lot of stuff that the people in the Philippines are doing, which means that we're not going to be able to up-level and train people here in the US. So we're missing, like, not only do we have, and could be the same thing in France too, but not only do we have this gap of talent and recruiting problems, but now we're filling that gap with technology and with people overseas. So what's going to happen when we really have a problem? We need to start up-leveling and hiring people to go directly to that top level, client level work, senior manager level work, when we haven't had any associates working on that for years. So especially with my team, I don't have any young people that I can promote on my team. My team in the US has been with me for 5-7 years. All of them, they've been with me a long time.
Okay.
So that could be a perceived problem where AI has now filling the gaps. I think it could also become part of the solution too. So AI is going to be the enabler to train people to learn how to do that next level thing too. I don't know. There's a lot of doors that it's going to be opening for us, and I guess like that's a whole other conversation to have too, on what it can do, because it can effectively do anything. We're not just talking accounting now. We're talking what it can do in how it can allow us to speak. It can translate our whole conversation. You could probably throw the transcript in there and it'll translate the whole thing to French.
We'll try to give this episode to an AI and to try to translate it.
We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. Hey, we're still in the early stages, but I like to relate it to how accountants were threatened by the spreadsheet or by the calculator, right? I want to be clear that I don't think it's going to take anybody's jobs intentionally. I think we're going to use it to fill in the gaps that we've had and to fill in the spots to stuff that people would be doing. And now we want to upskill the people, and they don't need to be doing that low level work. But at the same time, it's not going to come and take anybody's job. Spreadsheet didn't take anybody's job. It just enabled us to do a lot more. And automations and technology in the cloud didn't take anybody's jobs. It just allowed us to do so much more with less. When we found Xero at our practice, it automated so many things that we were doing manually, the write-up and the work that we were doing. And when we had bank feeds and cash coding and things that we could do in mass and bulk, it just gave us more free time. So that's what AI is doing now, and it will continue to do. But just like the internet and everything that came before it, it's a disruption, and maybe some people are threatened by it, but it's going to just make everything better.
Yeah. And how do you think AI will change the business model of accounting firm?
The business model is already in the process of changing, and it was before AI. Like I said, that business model used to be more of a pyramid, right? You had a lot of people on the bottom working long, hard hours to get this lower level work done for the top level people to review and deliver. In my case, in a lot of cases in public accounting. What AI and outsourced labor has allowed us to do is to cut off the edges of that pyramid. And now it's a lot smaller at the bottom because we are more focused and we have more people in the middle level too. So that business model now from a pyramid has changed to more of a diamond shape, let's say. I think we're going to have to turn it on its head and integrate with the AI and not have it doing separate jobs. So the people at the top level are sort of going to be assisted, and they'll have personal assistants. So what used to be like firms way back in the day, everybody had a personal assistant or an admin or somebody that was working with them on the work. You know, you had somebody's office, and right outside the office, you had a little desk. You know, this was like maybe in the 80s, 70s, 80s, whatever, 90s, where you had somebody that answered the phone for them or stood outside the desk, right? That's what AI is going to do for us. And that's probably what's already doing for a lot of people too. With all the different technology that we have, we've effectively eliminated that administrative person. And we can do that now with all the different tech that we have. I think we're going to be able to eliminate other jobs too and up level and upskill the people that we have. So even coming out of college, you could have people that are directly interfacing with clients that have just bypassed all that other lower level work that they used to have to do.
And do you think, because actually a lot of firms are billing by the hour, and if you are using AI and you win time, you spend less time on the client, so you will decrease your revenue. Kind of.
Well, that's a myth, right? That's a myth. If you're billing hourly, that's also so you made a great point there too. And I don't even talk about it as much, but we've had a lot of extensive conversations on the hourly billing model at Accounting High. And as our principal at Accounting High, Ron Baker, says, hourly billing is dead. And well, not dead, but it's the cancer of our profession.
Yeah.
And it leads to problems like this. People actually have to consider, if we're spending less time because we've automated all of this, how are we going to make money if we're billing by the hour, right? Well, you just have to change your billing. You have to change how the engagement and bill on what the outcome is. What's the work that you're doing for the client, and what's it worth to them? What's the value of it to them? How much would they pay for it? And that's what you should be charging for something, and charge up front. At our firm, we charge up front for everything. There's nothing we bill for after we've done it. We won't start doing work until people have paid us first, too.
Really?
So we don't have any accounts receivable at our practice.
So can you give me an example of mission or some of what you do to be paid upfront? It's amazing. I never heard something like that before.
So that's something we can definitely talk about.
Really interesting for me.
Yeah. So on the onset, in the initial, when a client reaches out to us, they fill out a type form. They fill out a form of all the needs that they have or what they need us to do. And we have an initial consultation, and we narrow down what's the work that we're going to be doing for them. And everything that we do already has a price, or essentially, if we're already doing it for our clients now, we should be able to price it effectively. Is that right? Like, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
If you have prices on the services, we may not be doing true value pricing where we're throwing a price. I used to do that. I used to give people prices based on what I thought they could pay. Now we actually have product pricing. So the work that we're doing already has prices.
Okay.
For what we're going to do. If it's a tax return.
Yeah, maybe a forecast. For example, for me, I'm running a marketing agency. And I need, this is the end of the year, I need a forecast for 2025 and a lot of uncertainty. So how do you price it? And I will pay it upfront.
Yeah. So we don't do too many forecasts, but if I were to just do a forecast and say, we've done a forecast for a marketing company before, we charged $2,500 for it. I think we can do this for about $2,500, but you have some complexities. So let me just throw in a little buffer. We'll price it at $3,000. We'll do your full 2025 forecast. And I just made up that number, right? But if this was something that we did, that's probably what would go into it. If it's a tax return, or let's just say it's write up in bookkeeping or work that we're going to be doing ongoing for a client, because that's the work that we like. That's the work that we want to do, the stuff that we're going to be able to replicate every month. That's something that we can price based on our comparable clients and also what's going to be involved. What are the other details? How many bank accounts do they have? How many credit cards? What systems are they using? What type of tools? And then we'll just price it up front. Sometimes if we've priced it wrong up front, we'll figure that out within the first few months, and we'll have to do, a scope adjustment or adjust the scope. But otherwise, we're saving so much on the back end by not having to bill in the rears and try to collect. collections and billing would be what that admin person was doing. We've eliminated the need for that admin person because we're pricing everything up front. It hasn't hurt our margins. It's helped. It's only helped our profitability as a firm too.
And you talk about value pricing, and I'm really happy because I will record an episode with Ron in January.
Dope.
So your principal, and he wrote a book about value pricing, and even I had a podcast with Geraldine Carter and with Ryan Lazanis, who told me, okay, you have to create a 3 tiers option.
3 tiers option. That is something that we did for years, and I think we still sometimes do that too. It was something that I was doing at my firm intuitively initially, just because other businesses do that, right? So when you go buy something online, typically they give you 3 options. And I was seeing that, Netflix offered that, and anybody was doing it. It wasn't even subscriptions at the time. It was just 3 options of whatever you were buying, mostly software companies. And I thought, if you can steer somebody toward that middle option, then you can price that how you want. And then I found Ron Baker, and that's what he was teaching. So, and this was around the time that I was just starting my firm too. So it was beautiful. It was like I was creating PDF spreadsheet, or not spreadsheet, but I had a spreadsheet that had all of our prices, and I would put it on a PDF and give it to person as like a menu, and they would be able to choose what they wanted, and they loved it. They were comparing us to us instead of comparing us to other accountants. And it was so new. It was the Wild West. It was awesome. And Ron Baker really taught that for years and years and years, and then evolved it into subscriptions. So I can't wait till you get to have that conversation with him, because he can speak on it much better than I could. There you go.
You know what? It took me almost 1 year to really understand what is Time's Up and how this new business model will run for our firm.
So subscriptions.
It's not as easy as it look.
It's not easy to change. If you're doing something completely different, it would not be easy to change. We were able to adapt and evolve to that because we were doing something similar anyway. We were all of our clients were already paying us a monthly price. And so we said, well, that's their subscription. That's what they're paying.
Kind of,
And so that's sort of how we base now we just bundle everything together as one subscription price. And that's how we price it all up front. So when we're taking on a client, we want to see everything we're going to be doing for them. And we want to bundle all of that into one price that they see. So they see $850 a month, and they know we're going to be doing their taxes and accounting for that. That's what we're trying to do up front. And this is why we don't have to deal with any accounts receivable or collections, because they've already agreed to the price that they're going to pay.
Damn it. I feel like I just understand how you want to say in the book. So that's why you stop to do the 3 tiers option, and then you bundle everything in one great option on a subscription model.
It's sort of. Now we don't necessarily give them 3 options to choose from. We'll give them 1 or 2. So maybe that subscription includes this thing or this other one. Or maybe we'll give them a couple options, but we want to steer them toward the choice that they should make. They don't necessarily, we don't want to confuse them with too many options either at this point, at this stage in the game. At the beginning, those 3 options were so different for every single client. Now they're somewhat similar based on what the client needs. Obviously, some businesses are different. They have different needs, but for the most part, the people, our leads, we're doing a better job of narrowing down who are the clients that we want to work with too.
J'interromps 30 secondes cet épisode puisque si vous écoutez l'Accounting Business Club, c'est que la stratégie de votre cabinet d'expertise comptable vous tient à cœur. Alors je voulais vous présenter Booster Digital qui est notre sponsor, mais pas que. C'est surtout l'agence de référence qui accompagne les experts comptables depuis plus de 6 ans maintenant et plus de 45 cabinets vers le succès, le développement. On travaille à la fois la stratégie, la communication, le marketing, la création d'identité graphique, la création de sites internet, l'animation des réseaux sociaux et bien plus encore avec toujours le même objectif, le succès pour pour nos clients. Si vous voulez en savoir plus, c'est très simple. Vous pouvez m'envoyer un message sur LinkedIn, Alexis Slama, et vous me marquez ABC ou Accounting Business Club et je vous offrirai avec grand plaisir 30 minutes de consultation pour qu'on puisse échanger au sujet du succès de votre cabinet. Allez, c'est reparti pour le retour à l'épisode. And that was my next question. You don't be afraid of losing deals or losing opportunity with this pricing model?
In the beginning, maybe. In the beginning, we were afraid, and I would be afraid of losing deals, and I would do different things to try to get the business. But now we realize we got plenty of work. We got plenty of leads. We get a lot of inbound leads too. So we're not that afraid of somebody, because maybe our sales cycle now is sometimes a little bit longer, but people still eventually see what we're doing and they get it and they come back. We signed on 4 or 5 new clients recently this past month, and some of them started met with us back in June. And it just took them a while to decide or maybe to filter things out. So I guess we have more patience now, and we're okay with somebody trying to make up their own mind, and we don't necessarily need to close them because we're not at this rapid growth pace that we used to be too. We've slowed down the growth. We're comfortable. And so we don't necessarily need to take everything on or fit everything in. So we have less anxiety around that, and we're less concerned with somebody saying no. It's okay if it's not the right time for them or if the price is too much. It's definitely okay if the price is too high for them. We understand that. This is different. Like if somebody's getting priced up front, and the other guy they went to just said their hourly rate is this much and they didn't really give him a price, it's hard to compare to that. If we said, okay, this engagement's going to be $8,000, and this other guy said, well, I'm just going to be, $80 an hour.
Yeah.
What do you do, right?
But now with this pricing model, you can be compared to it.
You can try. Like we don't know how many hours something's going to take us, but you can at least give the comparison to the work that's being done.
Yeah. So interesting. Wow.
But it is a lot of it is a lot to take in for somebody that is billing hourly to try to change that. So fortunately for us at our firm, we never had any hourly pricing.
Yeah. Okay.
We were always doing fixed fees based on the work that was going to be delivered. So as I said, in the beginning, it was always easy for us to have this price sheet of this is the work that we do and this is what we charge, because we never associated the work that we did with an hourly rate and the time that it takes us to do that work and to get it done. It was always associated with the product. The work itself was the product, not the time.
Earlier, you mentioned the CAS, Client Advisory Services, if I understand.
Sure.
Can you tell me more about this?
Well, when I say CAS, I affectionately mean bookkeeping or write-up or accounting. So what I use it interchangeably with bookkeeping because that's what it is for us. But when you say the word advisory, that opens up a whole new window to this and a whole new options, I guess, of what you can do. And defining advisory is hard because globally it could be anything. That what you said earlier, forecast, that's advisory. Yeah. That's advising a client and helping them on the future and helping them. So when I think of advisory, I think you're helping somebody on a future state, getting them to a future state that they want to get to, or helping them with something that is beyond just looking backwards and looking at the stuff that's already happened. So that's the way I look at it personally. So, but that's not when I use CAS. I don't say client advisory services. I would say client accounting services. Okay. Right? There's a different A, but CAS is mystical for some people, and it's mysterious because they don't know what advisory is. I think advisory could be financial planning. If you're helping somebody plan for their future, if you're doing tax planning, that's advisory too. Anything that you're doing that gets outside of the compliance work is advising the client, and that's advisory. And I think a lot of accountants discount all the advisory that they already do. So we're probably doing a lot of advisory already. You're just not calling it that. But anything that's not like routine, backwards looking bookkeeping or tax work, and it's helping them run their business better or helping them save more money or anything you're doing beyond that proactively, that's the advisory work that we should be talking about.
I really love this definition, and I'm pretty sure that I will get this extract and I will put it on my social media, because I really love this. Yes, it's really impactful for me, because in France we have the same job. We have a lot of tax, and we are going in January, so during January to May it will be the tax season for us. And sometimes my expert-comptable in France tell me, okay, but what is advisory and how can I do it? And is it M&A or something like that? And I will say, no, just ask your ask your clients and ask her what they want from you. That's why I took you the example of a podcast, because I really love podcast. I want to speak with my accountant or my CPA. Okay, tell me more about what it will be in 3 months or it's 6 months if I hire someone.
That's exciting because that's unknown, right?
Yeah.
It's exciting to see the possibilities of what could be in the future too. And if your accountant's helping you do that, that makes your accountant an exciting person to talk to.
And he have the data. He got the data.
We got all the historical data.
And how many clients do you have today?
About 110.
Okay. And are you niched in an industry or?
That's a good question. No, I don't think so. Not an industry niche. We were niched in a vertical, in a software vertical. So we were niched in Xero because not a lot of accountants use Xero in the United States.
Okay.
So we were getting clients that found us through Xero's directory because their accountant was working with QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to use QuickBooks. So it's a very small demographic in the US of people that find Xero and that want to work with Xero, but that's how we grew initially. Now I would say that it's not just that, because people find us through Google and through Gusto, and it's a wide range of types of businesses that find us. So it's more of a, let's say, a psychographic or a demographic, like a persona that we're looking for. Somebody that's forward thinking, somebody that can adapt to technology. And post-COVID, it's easier to find those people. I think everybody's sort of on that. But before 2020, it was harder to find the people that were looking forward and that wanted to meet via Zoom or, online, and that didn't want to come into an office.
Yeah.
So, I would say that our clients are they're a wide range. But we kind of know who we like to work with based on historical clients too. So, and if it's extra complex industry or something that's a little above us, that might be somebody that's not a good fit, but usually we'll take any type of business on.
Okay. And can you tell me more about your relation with Xero? Let me explain you why. Because in France, QuickBooks tried to come to us, and they failed because we are La France, and it's not easy to come with the mindset that they had. So they failed, and Xero don't want to come, or I don't know if they want, but I feel like the product is not ready for us, and QuickBooks refresh some ideas. But we have a company called Penny Lane, which the model is inspired. Really
is it inspired by the Beatles?
Exactly.
No way.
No, not the title, not the name, but the business model is inspired by Xero.
Oh, by Xero. Okay. I said the Beatles.
No. By Xero. And some CPA here are telling us like, okay, they are they will took our clients, and it will
they're
be
afraid that the software is going to take the clients.
That's
what people are afraid of with QuickBooks here.
Okay. Yeah, really?
Oh yeah. QuickBooks Live is already on the way of trying to take clients. Like,
okay.
That's their MO now, is they're going after the clients and trying to pair them up with an internal bookkeeper with QuickBooks. So it's a valid concern.
Oh, and is it the same with Xero, or Xero is only
Zero
for?
will not do that. Zero is fundamentally against that. They
Okay,
want to work with accountants
okay, they really want to give
globally.
you the best solution for accountants.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, for
They do
practice.
want to work with businesses too, but they want to pair businesses with accountants. They believe a business is better if they're working with an accountant. QuickBooks has hired accountants, and they are just pairing people up with accountants internally.
And tomorrow, with AI, they will do all the bookkeeping.
So that's a big fear among a
Yeah.
lot of accountants. And I guess you're right. They should be afraid of that. I don't know what you were getting at, if you were thinking that, if you're saying that they're modeling off of Zero and they're not going to do that, but
Yeah. Okay.
they should be afraid of that. At the same time, they should prepare for that, and they should be ready for it. Maybe not be afraid of it, but just be ready for it. It's already happening to us here in the States, and I think we're ready. I think we're doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people still want to work with a person, and they want to work with somebody. That's why I said I need my clients to be client facing, interfacing with the client, so they can build a relationship with them, because you can't really have a relationship with the software.
Oh, it's sweet. It's weird.
It's weird. And I say that tongue in cheek because I have a relationship with Zero. I love Zero. Like Zero's that I do have a relationship with them, but it's like you said, it's you can't expect to have the same type of human level relationship with the software. It doesn't have a soul.
Yeah. How can we prepare ourselves or our practice to this evolution?
I think you have to work with the solutions. You have to understand them. So working with AI is part of preparing for that. You have to be able to understand it and adapt and work with it. You have to work with the software companies too. They're all willing to work, even Intuit, even QuickBooks has an accountant channel, and they work with accountants and they listen to them. And I think you can feel less threatened by something if you understand it and know what it's doing, and know what its aims are, because again, it's humans that are pulling the strings on all of this stuff too. And I think you just have to connect with your clients too, and build a relationship and have a relationship, and don't forget about the human element. You can automate as many things as you want, and you can see that the technology is just doing it all for you. And then what? Like, you're still left with some gaps to fill, and that's where the human's going to come in, is to fill those emotional gaps too.
So for you, even if AI is tomorrow one of our first tool we are using in our practice or in our company, the most important is to replace the human and the relationship.
Well, you don't want to replace the human relationship. You want to be in the middle of that human relationship. You want to have the human relationship.
Yeah, replace was not the right word. As it's to have this relationship first of all. What I want to say is, when you do a lot of production, of accounting production, sometimes you miss this relationship, because the only message you send to your client is, give me your invoices, give me your invoices. So this is over.
That's why the relationship is so fraught between accountants and the clients, because they say, my accountant never responds to me, or my accountant never I have a question and my accountant doesn't answer it. That's the first thing we should be doing. That's the most important thing we should be doing, is talking to the client, because the work can get done. All the work can get done. You throw it in an AI tool in the future and it'll do it all for you. And now we're going to be left with the only thing we can do is respond to that client in real time.
And you create a community, kind of community, with Accounting AI. Do you create a community for your clients too?
It's a great question. No, we haven't, but I had considered that. I had considered doing something that similar, but because our clients are not that similar and they're all different, I guess they are similar in the way that they're all business owners and entrepreneurs. And back when we had an office, I had ideas to do socials and gatherings of clients, and meeting, and that idea never gained enough traction. So I like that you suggested it. I think it's something that I could potentially do in the future. It's a great idea, and it could bring community around that and bring that human element to your firm. So then you've got clients that, so I have interviewed some people that have client advisory boards too. And that's sort of creating a really focused community where they're all traveling in from wherever they're from, and they all meet like a software advisory board would, but it's with the clients, and the clients are all meeting each other and bonding over that too. And they're entrepreneurs, and if they're in different industries, I think that could only help, because then they could relate to each other without feeling like they're competition.
Yeah, and it could be really inspiring to listen what are doing other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What are their problem, and to understand, okay, how can they resolve it with my point of view, as I'm doing when I listen your podcast, even if we are in the same industry, but I'm listening and I'm like, okay, interesting. How can I translate it in my business in France? And this is exactly what you did during this episode when you explained to me how you create your new business model, or how you implement your pricing model. And I'm like, okay, maybe the third tier option is not the right way anymore, and maybe this is how I have to understand and how I have to change my pricing model. So
well, and that's really important too, because you're saying maybe this and maybe that, and maybe I should do this, and everybody's different, and that's the beauty of it, is you can expose yourself to all of these different ways of doing things, and there's only something that's going to work for you and for your situation, right? And so being able to talk with many people globally or anywhere and learning all of the different things, you can choose to take back the things that maybe could work for you, and then you try that and it does work. Great. And you try that and it doesn't work. Okay. You didn't lose that much. You tried something, it didn't work, scrap it. And so that's why it's very important to keep that human element and to keep these conversations going too. I think it's awesome what you're doing here in France. Thank you for doing this in English for me. I hope that your students over there have learned something. This is like, like you even called it a club too. This is like the clubs. When you're in school, you have the little clubs, after school clubs and things that you do. Yeah. And this is the accounting business club.
Yeah, exactly.
Accounting business club too, ABC.
Yeah.
ABC, is your alphabet start with ABC too?
Yeah.
Yours does? Okay. The French alphabet doesn't, it's still ABC as well. Okay. That's dope. I love that.
That's why I name it, because I love the song ABC, and then
Michael Jackson,
of course, and I feel like what you said. I love the spirit or the mindset of the club.
So I told you we did tournaments. We do the Accountant Bracket Challenge, ABC tournament, ABC.
So I will be on your tournament. No, just kidding, but. About this tournament,
you could be in the tournament. Podcasts are in there sometimes.
Ryan, I saw the final with Ryan and
Ryan was
Jason
in
Stat, and there was so funny on Twitter at this moment.
You remember that? Oh wow, yes, those were that was probably the best part. That was the first year, the inception year, when he went up against Jason and Jason went up against Ryan and he called him a robot, and he had all. It was hilarious. Yeah.
This was really hilarious. And that's why, everyone, all of them are working in the industry, but you can work in this industry and be funny. And that was one of the most beautiful example of.
So that's when it started to turn into the humans versus the machines. I know Jason played tongue in cheek like Ryan was a machine, but really half of that bracket is a bunch of people and the other half is a bunch of apps. So I've created it to where it is we pick a tribute, and it's the human versus the machines, and the machines have won 2 years in a row. So we'll see how it goes this year, if the human will win. But
I will follow this. To finish, I just want to ask you a last question, because when I listen your podcast and when I discuss with you right now, I feel like you are really happy to be CPA, accountant, or entrepreneur, and not overwhelmed, you are happy in your job. How do you do?
Looks are deceiving, right? You see me at my happiest moments, but maybe outside of that, I'm still riddled with a lot of anxiety and frustration and wanting to do more. I have gotten so much better over this past year, and I'm actually a lot happier outside of this too. But I struggled with that a lot. I struggled with, trying to maintain that, because the personality that you might see is the best of the best, right? And I'm putting that out there. But then what my family sees or what other people see outside of that wasn't always the best. So I've worked on myself a lot. I meditate every day now. I do, I focus on being present. And if I can be present in any interaction that I'm doing, then I can be happy. And that's usually what keeps me happy. If I'm sitting here thinking about how much more money I'm going to make, or clients I'm going to make, or if this is the future, or if I'm worried about the past or things that happened in the past, I can't be happy and grateful for this moment. And right now, I'm super excited and happy because I'm on here with you. You're in France on the other side of the world, and you're talking to me like you know me already because you've been listening to the show. And that's beautiful. That's something that's really cool. That's just kind of manifested through me wanting to just talk to people, right? Do a podcast, do something different. So now it's validating, but it gives me a lot of appreciation and gratitude for the moment that I'm in, and I can stay in that moment. So yeah, staying present, regardless of what you do, whether it's accounting or anything else, staying present can really bring true happiness too, because then you start to really appreciate why you're in that moment that you're in. And if you don't like the moment that you're in and it's not bringing you happiness, you can change that too. You can change anything about your current situation. You have the firm of your dreams right now. It may not be a dream. It might be a nightmare right now, but you can change it to be the firm of your dreams because you create your own situation. You create your own reality, and you manifest those next steps. So by doing something maybe that you're afraid of doing, or changing something that you're afraid, if you change it, clients are going to get upset or you're going to lose clients, do it anyway. If it's good for you, do it anyway, because then you'll start attracting the people that you do want and that you do want to be around more and surround yourself with. And that's what I've realized, that in my current state, the employees that I have, the team that I have, the people that I interview on the show, or the things that I do are all things that I want to bring into my life and that I want more of. And the things that I don't need, I just don't pay attention to, or I don't think about.
Love it.
It goes with people too.
Yeah. And do you have a book to recommend to me?
Oh, a lot of books.
Yeah.
I haven't written my book yet. Yeah.
Did it finish yet?
Not finished yet. No, I actually just had dinner with Ron Baker a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about it. But I got to put my pen to the pad. I have aspirations to write how to run an accounting practice. That's going to be the first book. A recommendation for a book for you. There's a lot of books that I'm reading right now, but there's one, Think Like a Monk, that talks about meditating, and that's a very powerful book that I read at one point by Jay Shetty. He also has a podcast, On Purpose. 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss.
Yes, it's another
classic. Yeah, I'm going to bring you the classics. And Atomic Habits. James Clear. So those are some books that you could check out or peruse through. If you've already read them, read them again, because they're good.
Yeah. And I don't know the first one, but the two others are translated in French, so it will be easier.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, Think Like a Monk probably is in French as well. I would assume it is, but that's also a very that's one that goes into this happiness factor. And I love that you asked me that question, because that is definitely something that I've struggled with. And the best advice I could give is to stay present and appreciate what's around you, because that will make you happy too.
And you know what, Scotty? I'm waiting for your book. And when you finish it, come to Paris like Geraldine. You're my guest. And I'm really happy to record a new podcast to talk about your book.
Oh, beautiful. Her book is great too. Getting down to 40 hours.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's going down to 40 hours. It's like for us in France, it's okay. We are working 40 hours.
You guys are already working less than 40 hours, though, right? You guys have a much more relaxed.
No. I'm kidding. It's not the true. When you are in the accounting industry, we have the same issue.
Really?
Overwork? Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, I thought that was the culture in France where you guys just didn't have to work as much.
No. We have, and that's why we loved with Geraldine, because we have the same construction of our business and our time, and we are overwhelmed. Yeah. And we work something like 70 hours a week, and it's normal. And when I speak with CPAs, they told me, okay, I already work 40 hours on Wednesday. So what I will doing for the Thursday and Friday? So we have the same issue, but we are working on it, and that's why I ask you, how do you do to be happy as you are?
I have been working on it for so many years. I used to overwork. I was so burnt out. I even overworked with this podcast too. So everything that I did, I was working way too much, and now I can appreciate the calm and the peace that I've brought into my life too. So
thank you very much. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Dope. Yeah. Well, you're doing good too. You got to hustle hard too to get to where you want to be, and to change your life, you do have to hustle. So I respect and I love the hustle.
Nice. Thank you very much, Scotty.
Yeah. Dope.
Do you want to add something?
I don't know. I appreciate you having me on. I don't have any raps or anything that I'm like working on now. I would love to like share something like that, but I don't really have anything brand new. Yeah. I've got some that I've done.
Maybe do you have an old one? Because in France we don't know your rap.
That's true. That's
true.
Yeah. Let me pick something that might be good.
It was live on stage.
This was live on stage. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I know. I want to be able to play it. Here, I will put it here.
How many people were there?
2,000.
No way. You rap in front of 2,000 people at the ZeroCon?
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I wish I could play it. So let's see.
Amazing. Oh.
Approximately 18 years ago, under the direction of New Zealand's Raj Drury and in the interest of computer security, a single unified ledger, Accounting 2.0, was established. This tool's primary objective was to decentralize accounting and spread this software-as-a-service model across our planet, connected by a global network of remote services called the cloud.
We're in the cloud with zero. We're in the cloud with zero.
So that's another accountant singing with me. Yeah, she's another Zero user, and you can hear my daughter on the track too. She's singing.
This new cloud accounting tool woke into it to bestow an evolution, a beautiful blue tech solution.
Love your haircut.
Zero showed the massive wooden apples with cash code to shatter the globe's reliance on desktop as we know it. I'm talking about the grand invention around 2007 when Zero would grow out of New Zealand for technologically advanced tenants, simple finance, safe program, and browser-based sessions. 2012 had lots of skeptics, and the mobile version of our domestic desktop was pathetic. You can reject it for its soothing blue aesthetic and fail to recognize the beauty inside these debits. A very high percentage of accountants in our nation green console worshipping desktop applications. For more construction of on-site server pricing installation, redundant ongoing IT maintenance. They gave us real-time information. Can take place in several different team locations. Unlimited seats and easy collaboration. For ecosystem customization, choose your own software application. Because through application programming interfaces, they create integrations. Two-step secure authentication. National Zero ambassadors, people like Liz Mason, they speak and teach and made certifications. They're trying to free Western civilization from green domination. Well, you need to know that they changed the game. Cloud-based safe space with a beautiful interface.
We're in the cloud with zero. We're in the cloud with zero.
Give it up for the ambitious bookkeeper, Serena Shu.
We're in the cloud with zero.
We at war. We at war with old ledgers and IRS agents. But most of all, we at war with broken bank connections. God showed me the way because this ledger connects bank accounts.
Zero works with me.
Two-side hustlers, biz owners, accountants, tax preparers, even bookkeepers. Zero works for them. To the outsourced controllers, fractional CFOs, moms working from home. Zero works for them. Not Z, it's X. See bank feeds sync clearly. Zero keeps me and my team mostly green free. His desktop's almost nearly extinct. We cash code clients so fast we don't blink. I ain't here to argue about new QBO features or here to convert skeptics into believers. I'm just trying to say the way that books need keepers, the way Blake really needs Leary, that's the way I need Zero. So here goes my keynote dog, we need more heroes. They say you can rap about anything except for zero. That means funds, tax, finance, AI automate. But if I adopt cloud tech, my desktop won't integrate, huh? Is really machine learning? It'll probably automate my month ends. Then the weeks turn to days to seconds and integrate everything in the cloud. Let's go, Zero Con, everybody screaming out.
Zero works.
Rod showed me the way because this ledger connects bank accounts.
Zero works.
The only thing that I pray is bank feeds don't fail me now.
Wow. And you killed me. This is a convention. This is, you know, earlier you told about the partnership between CPA or accounting firm and software. This is the demonstration. This was a convention. I really want to come next year.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you next year then. No, so next year maybe we'll do one in London, right? You can go to the London one.
Yeah. Are you planning to come?
I don't know yet. We'll see.
Wow, amazing. And just a question: why you didn't niche with artists? Because you are an artist.
It's a good question. It might turn it into work, and it might not be as fun because that's all like I don't know. Like I've spoke to other accountants that work with artists.
Yeah,
and it's just they're not that excited about it. They're like, yeah, but this is like you deal with the stuff that they hate and like the things like I don't know. It's just like I haven't considered it. Because I want to be an artist myself. I don't want to be the accountant for the artist. I want to be the artist.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Scotty. And I really hope to meet you in London for the next XeroCon. And if you plan to come to London, you have to come to Paris. It's only 2 hours by train.
Oh, wow. I mean, I plan on going to Paris first before I go to London. I want to visit you, man. We'll do a part 2 for this.
I'm really happy to receive you at the office and to give you my best address, and you're pretty sure you will enjoy it.
Perfect. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Thank you very much, Scotty, and I will put it on the description, all your video, of course, your podcast, and your LinkedIn profile too. And we are really happy to having you in the Accounting Business Club podcast. ABC, exactly. Thank you very much.
I put a link in the chat to that video too.
Yep, I get it.
Dope.
Perfect.
Thank you, homies. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Peace out.